Hey everybody, good evening. I'm just doing a quick video here. A lot of people ask me about cooking steaks, and I just want to do a real quick video on how to make a really cool steak or a great steak. Should be really yummy, like restaurant quality. So right here I have 4 petite filet mignons. And petite filet mignon just means basically 6 ounces or less. So they're probably between 5 and 6. I would say the two on the right here are probably 6, and these two on the left are probably closer to 5 ounces. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm heating my pan up. I got my pan on the stove, all right, and I got it cranked up pretty good right there. That's on high heat just to get it started. So when I sear the meat, it gets a nice sear on it. And then I'm just gonna season the steaks up really nicely with salt and pepper. Now you can see, really generously season them. Because meat is very thick, and if you just season it lightly, it won't take on too much flavor anyhow. So I like to season pretty heavily. It's up to you. But there's the steaks. And I use kosher salt. I'm using kosher salt right here to get a nice, really good season on them. And then I'm just going to put some oil in there. Now the pan is nice and smoking right where I want it to be. Okay. You can turn it down a little bit. Like once you get it to a smoking point, turn the heat down just a tad to like medium high. Right there. I'm just going to add a little bit of canola oil. Again, so the idea here is get the pan smoking hot. You can see the smoke coming right off. And then I'm going to put the meat down. You want to hear that nice searing sound. And I'm going to let them sit about 2 to 3 minutes on each side just to begin with to get a nice color on the meat. So again, very simple. Get the pan really hot, season them really well, salt and pepper. Like I said, I like to use kosher salt. You're going to use sea salt. I highly recommend not using iodine salt, the table salt. I would throw that out if you have that. See, it's not quite, you're looking for a nice golden color. It'll take about 8 to 10 minutes to cook these steaks to nice rare to mid-rare temperature. It's starting to get a little bit of a color on there nicely. I'm just going to go ahead and turn them over. I always like to continuously turn the meat. It's very important because if you leave it on one side too long, then your steaks will be real cooked on one side and not too cooked on the other. But this is what you're looking for over here and here. Beautiful golden color. Again, these do have a string tied around them, so these came right from the butcher directly. That's how you know. See how there's a string on them? You really don't need that, but in a restaurant, you know, to make a really nice presentation, you would wrap it in a string butcher twine. And what that does is just give you a nice rounded look to your steak. So what I want to do is sear it on all sides, so I'm going to get a nice crust on each side. I really don't have my fan on too high right now, so that's why there's a lot of smokiness here. Fan's very hot too. It would be the same thing for whatever steak you're cooking. If you're cooking a New York strip, if you're cooking a ribeye, filet mignon, it doesn't matter. The whole idea is just to get this beautiful, nice coloring on the whole outside of the steak. If there were a whole, you know, if it was a big fillet, like an 8 or 10 ounce fillet, then I would finish it in the oven. I would put it, you know, I would put it in the oven and let it cook there for a couple minutes. But since these are fairly small, I'll just finish them right on top. So I got two right here, really beautiful fillets. There we go. Just slide it around the back side of the pan seems a little hotter. Again, I don't have my fan turned on high because it makes too much noise and you really can't hear the video, so the smokiness also is part of that reason I don't have a fan on in my stove. But anyway, now you can see how beautiful these are starting to look. A little more color. And the browning of the meat is a process which is called the Maillard reaction. Maillard reaction is browning the meat. It's debatable. Some people say caramelization of the meat, which, you know, you are kind of caramelizing the juices and stuff like that. But it's a reaction called Maillard reaction. Okay. So now after the steaks have cooked, and again, it probably takes, like I said, about 8 to 10 minutes cooking these on each side. So now what I'm going to do is basically you want to feel the touch of the meat, and that takes a lot of practice. If you have a thermometer, I would use that. And I would take the temperature to about 120 to 125. So once I get them to the color and consistency I want, I like to throw butter into mine. This will give it a nice flavoring as well. It'll give the meat a nice basting to it, so I use about 2 tablespoons of butter. Then I like to throw a little fresh herbs in there. I have some fresh rosemary here. And drop that into the the butter. And then I also have some fresh thyme right here. I'm just going to throw that into my pan. Now this is where the real magic begins, I think. The technique is called arrosé, or some people call palais, to palais the meat. Basically, you're just dripping the hot meat juices over top of the meat. And like I said, keep turning the meat. there you go. There you have 4 really beautiful petite filet mignons cooked beautifully. I mean, I'm feeling it right now. I can tell by just touching it. You know, 30 years of touching a piece of meat, you can tell pretty easily what temperature it is and how it's cooked. You know, that takes a lot of practice, a lot of thousands and thousands of steaks. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You know, anything you have, I'm always happy to respond, help out. But again, this is it. Start out with a hot pan, get the pan searing, smoking hot. A little bit of neutral oil. Like I said, I use canola oil here. Season the meat real heavy, salt and pepper, and then begin the process. And then you finish it with butter and fresh herbs. All right, thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful evening.